Before we dive into today's topic, I want to tell you about something that's changed how I approach pigeon health and performance. I run another channel called Pigeon Healthy, where I share natural herbal treatment methods that most fanciers have never heard of. We're talking about plants and natural remedies that have powerful healing and performance-enhancing effects on pigeons. Things like specific herb combinations that boost immunity, natural treatments for respiratory diseases, plants that improve digestion and recovery after races, and natural alternatives to chemical medications. We cover pigeon diseases you might be struggling with right now: canker, respiratory infections, coccidiosis, worms, and show you exactly how to treat them using natural methods that actually work. No guessing, no expensive medications with side effects. Just proven herbal protocols used by top European lofts. If you're serious about keeping your birds healthy naturally and improving their performance without chemicals, go subscribe to Pigeon Healthy right now. The knowledge there could save you birds, save you money, and give you an edge your competition doesn't have. Now let's get into today's topic. Sunday afternoon, race day. 300-kilometer race. Your birds have been flying for hours. You're at the loft waiting anxiously. The radio crackles with reports of birds arriving at other lofts. Times are fast. The race conditions were good. You're hoping for strong performances from your team. Then you see movement. A bird approaching from the race direction. It's one of yours. You recognize it immediately. The bird descends, circles once, lands on the landing board. You're ready at the clock. The bird hesitates for a few seconds, then enters the trap. You clock the arrival. Good time. Top 20 for sure. Maybe top 10 depending on how the rest of the race develops. You're excited. First bird home, good position. You immediately open the trap, reach in, catch the bird. You want to examine it, see how it feels, check its condition. The bird struggles in your hands, breathing rapidly, heart pounding. You can feel the heat radiating from its body. It's exhausted. You hold it for a minute, checking it over, then place it back in the loft and close the trap. You provide water. The bird goes immediately to the drinker and drinks deeply for 30 seconds. Then it moves to the feeder and begins eating the feed you provided this morning, the same mix you always feed. The bird eats for several minutes, then moves to a perch and sits down, feathers slightly fluffed. You're satisfied. Bird arrived, drank, ate, now resting. Everything seems fine. You go back to waiting for other birds. Over the next 2 hours, 3 more birds arrive. You repeat the same process with each one. Catch and examine, provide water and feed, let them rest. By evening, you have 4 birds home, not your full team, but respectable. You leave them to rest overnight. Monday morning, you return to the loft for routine check. 3 of the 4 birds that returned yesterday are active, eating, looking good. But the first bird, the one that had the best time, is sitting heavily fluffed on a perch, eyes partially closed, not moving much. You catch it for examination. The bird feels light. Its crop is empty despite feed being available all night. The keel is prominent. The bird is cold to touch. You're shocked. This bird was fine yesterday. It ate and drank. It seemed to be recovering normally. What happened You rushed to provide supportive care. Warm the bird. Offer electrolyte water. Try to hand feed. The bird barely responds. By Tuesday morning, despite your efforts, the bird dies. You're devastated and confused. The bird successfully completed a 300-kilometer race. It arrived home with good time. It seemed to recover initially. Then it collapsed and died within 36 hours of arriving. What went wrong? Was the bird sick before the race? Did something happen during the race? Why did it die when it seemed fine initially? The answer is in those first 10 minutes after the bird arrived. The handling, the immediate catching and examination created stress that the exhausted bird couldn't handle. The water you provided was plain water, without electrolytes, insufficient to address the bird's severe depletion. The feed you provided was regular racing, mix including oil-rich seeds that the bird's stressed digestive system couldn't process efficiently. These errors, small individually, combined to create a recovery failure that ultimately killed the bird. This scenario, a bird that arrives home but fails to recover and dies within 1 to 3 days post-race, is heartbreakingly common. It happens to fanciers at every level. The birds are capable of completing the race. They navigate home successfully, but the post-race recovery protocol is so poor that they die from the recovery stress rather than from the race itself. Top fanciers like Leo Heremans understand this completely. His statement, "I never touch my birds the first hour. I let them choose home," reflects a philosophy that birds arriving from races need calm, space, and appropriate support not immediate handling and examination. That creates additional stress when the bird is at its most vulnerable. Today we're covering the complete emergency recovery protocol for the critical first 10 minutes after a bird arrives from a race, and the essential first 24 hours that follow. This protocol is used by championship fanciers who consistently see 95 to 100% of their birds recover fully from races and race again successfully the following week. Get this protocol right and you'll save birds that would otherwise be lost to post-race recovery failure. Get it wrong and you'll continue losing birds unnecessarily. Let's start by understanding the physiological state of a bird that has just completed a race, especially a challenging race of 200 kilometers or more. This understanding explains why the recovery protocol must be exactly right. The bird has been flying continuously for 3 to 6 hours depending on distance and conditions. During this time, the bird has been operating at extremely high metabolic rate, burning calories at perhaps 10 to 15 times resting metabolism. The cardiovascular system has been working at maximum capacity. The respiratory system has been processing enormous volumes of air. The muscles have been contracting millions of times. This sustained high-intensity effort creates multiple physiological stresses. First, energy depletion. The bird has burned most or all of its readily available glycogen stores in muscles and liver. Blood glucose is low. Fat stores have been mobilized and partially depleted. The bird is running on empty or close to it. Second, dehydration. During hours of flying, the bird loses water through respiration and evaporative cooling. Racing pigeons can lose 5 to 10% of body weight through water loss during long races. This dehydration reduces blood volume, increases blood viscosity, impairs circulation, and stresses kidneys and other organs. Third, electrolyte depletion. Along with water loss, the bird loses essential minerals, primarily sodium, potassium, and chloride through respiration and excretion. These electrolyte imbalances impair muscle function, nerve function, and cellular processes throughout the body. Fourth, metabolic waste accumulation. Hours of intense muscle work generates lactic acid and other metabolic byproducts. These substances must be cleared from tissues and bloodstream. The liver and kidneys are working overtime to process and eliminate these wastes. This creates strain on these organs. Fifth, oxidative stress. The high oxygen consumption during racing generates free radicals that damage cellular structures, including muscle cells, blood vessels, and organ tissues. This oxidative damage must be repaired during recovery. Sixth, immune suppression. Intense prolonged exercise temporarily suppresses immune function. For several hours to days after racing, the bird is more vulnerable to infections than normal. Seventh, muscle damage. The millions of muscle contractions during racing create micro tears in muscle fiber. This damage must be repaired through protein synthesis and cellular regeneration during recovery. Eighth, thermal stress. If the race was in hot conditions, the bird may be overheated with elevated core temperature. If conditions were cold or wet, the bird may be chilled. Either extreme creates additional physiological stress. All of these physiological stresses combine to create a bird that is at the absolute limit of its physical capacity. When it arrives home, the bird is exhausted, depleted, dehydrated, and stressed. Its systems are barely maintaining homeostasis. Any additional stress at this critical moment can tip the bird into crisis from which it cannot recover. This is why the post-race protocol must minimize all stress and provide exactly what the bird needs to stabilize and begin recovery. Now let's go through the minute-by-minute protocol for the first 10 minutes after a bird lands at the loft, followed by the hour-by-hour protocol for the first 24 hours. Minutes 0 to 2, absolute non-interference and observation. When the bird lands on the landing board, do not approach. Do not open the trap. Do not catch the bird. Do not do anything. Stand back, remain quiet, and observe. Watch the bird's breathing. Is it panting with open beak? This indicates severe heat stress or exhaustion. Is the breathing rapid but with closed beak? This is normal for a bird just arrived from racing. Does the breathing seem labored or abnormal? This could indicate respiratory distress. Watch the bird's posture and movement. Does it stand normally, or is it sitting on the landing board? Standing is better than sitting. Does it look around and assess its surroundings, or is eyes partially closed? Alert is better than lethargic. Does it move toward the trap entrance after a brief rest, or does it seem confused about where to go? Watch for any signs of injury. Wings drooping, legs not bearing weight properly, visible wounds or blood. These signs indicate the bird needs immediate specialized care beyond normal recovery protocol. This observation period, approximately 90 seconds to 2 minutes, gives you critical information about the bird's condition, while giving the bird time to catch its breath and orient without additional stress from your interference. Most importantly, it allows the bird to enter the trap on its own when it's ready, which is psychologically less stressful than being caught and pushed through the trap. Leo Heremans' practice of never touching birds in the first hour extends this non-interference even longer than 2 minutes. His birds are trained to enter the trap confidently within seconds or minutes of landing. He doesn't handle them until they've had substantial time to begin recovering inside the loft. This extreme patience and restraint prevents the stress that comes from handling exhausted birds. For most fanciers, 2 minutes of non-interference observation is minimum. More is better if the bird is entering the trap on its own. Only if the bird is not entering after 5 to 10 minutes and you need to clock it for race timing should you consider assisting entry. And even then, do so as gently and calmly as possible. Minutes 2 to 5, provide recovery water immediately after the bird enters the trap. The water should be prepared in advance before any birds arrive, so it's ready the instant birds come in. This is electrolyte recovery water, not plain water. The recovery water formula: 1 liter of water at comfortable temperature, not cold from refrigerator, but not warm either. Roughly room temperature or slightly cool. Add 1.5 grams of sea salt, approximately 1/4 teaspoon. Add 1/4 teaspoon of potassium chloride if available, or use salt substitute, which is usually potassium chloride. Add 1 tablespoon of honey or glucose. Add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Mix thoroughly until honey and salt are fully dissolved. This formula provides several critical elements. The sodium from salt replaces the primary electrolyte lost during racing. The potassium replaces another essential electrolyte. The honey or glucose provides immediate, quick-absorbing energy to help stabilize blood sugar. The lemon juice provides mild acidity that enhances absorption and provides some vitamin C. This recovery water should be the only water available for the first 2 to 3 hours after birds arrive. Don't provide plain water alongside recovery water. You want birds drinking the recovery formula, not diluting its benefits by alternating with plain water. Most birds will drink deeply immediately upon entering the loft after a day. The recovery water tastes mildly salty and sweet, which arriving birds find highly palatable because their bodies are craving exactly these elements. Watch the bird drink. It should drink for 20 to 60 seconds, consuming significant volume. If the bird doesn't drink at all, this is concerning and might indicate severe stress or illness. After drinking, the bird will typically rest briefly, then might return to drink again. This cycle of drinking, resting, drinking is normal in health. The bird is gradually rehydrating without overloading its system. Minutes 5 to 10, provide recovery feed in a small quantity. The recovery feed should be different from normal racing. It should be easily digestible and provide quick energy and protein without heavy oils or fats that stress the digestive system. The recovery feed formula mix equal parts of small peas or lentils and wheat. This creates a 50-50.
Bueno, pues para que quiera ver cómo está esto, mira.
Add small amount of dairy or millet if available, 5 to 10% of total mix. The total quantity provided should be small, approximately 15 to 20 grams per bird, roughly 1 tablespoon. This small quantity of easily digestible feed allows birds to begin refueling without overloading digestive systems that are still stressed from racing. The peas provide easily accessible protein for muscle repair. The wheat provides easily digested carbohydrates for energy. The combination is light and efficient. Place this recovery feed in the usual feeders so birds can access it easily. Most birds will begin eating within 5 to 15 minutes of arriving, after they've had initial drink. Some birds will eat immediately and enthusiastic, others will drink, rest for longer periods. Both patterns are normal. Critical: do not provide normal racing mix with high oil content immediately after racing. Many fanciers make this mistake. They provide the same feed the birds always eat, thinking consistency is important. But oil-rich seeds, sunflower, safflower, corn digest slowly and create heavy feeling in the gut. Exhausted birds with stressed digestive systems struggle to process these feeds efficiently. This can lead to crop stasis, digestive upset, and impaired recovery. The light, easily digestible recovery feed is provided for approximately 2 to 4 hours after birds arrive. After birds have rehydrated and refueled with recovery feed, you can gradually transition to normal feeding. But there's no recovery feed for 4 to 6 hours or even through the evening of race day is perfectly appropriate. Minutes 10 through 60, maintain complete calm and silence in and around the loft. After providing recovery water and feed, leave the birds alone. Don't stand in the loft watching them. Don't invite friends to see the arrivals. Don't catch birds to examine them. Don't clean the loft. Don't make noise or create activity. Leave the birds in absolute quiet calm. This silence allows birds to focus all energy on recovery without additional stress from human activity, noise, or handling. Birds need to drink, eat, and rest without distraction. Any disturbance during this critical first hour interferes with recovery and can trigger stress responses that exhausted birds cannot afford. If additional birds arrive during this hour, repeat the same protocol. Observe without interference as they land and enter. Ensure recovery water and feed are continuously available. Otherwise, maintain silence and distance. Some fanciers find this restraint difficult. They're excited about birds arriving. They want to examine them, see how they feel, and assess their condition. This urge must be resisted. The bird's needs take absolute priority over your curiosity or excitement. You will have time later to examine birds once they've stabilized. In the first hour, leave them alone. Hour 1 through 6. Continue providing recovery water and feed and maintain quiet environment. After the first hour, you can check periodically from distance to ensure birds are drinking and eating normally. You should see birds cycling between drinking, eating, and resting on perches. This pattern indicates normal recovery. During this period, don't handle birds unless you see signs of serious distress that require intervention. Signs requiring intervention include bird that isn't drinking or eating after 2 hours. Bird that appears to be in respiratory distress with continued heavy panting or abnormal breathing. Bird that can't perch properly and is sitting on the floor. Bird that shows signs of injury. For most birds show normal recovery behavior, no intervention is needed. Just ensure water and feed remain available and fresh, and maintain quiet environment. Replace recovery water if it becomes dirty or depleted. Add fresh recovery feed if initial portion is too. Otherwise, don't destroy it. Hour 6 through 24, transition to normal feeding and continue providing quiet rest environment. By 6 hours post-race, most birds have rehydrated adequately and refueled with recovery. You can begin transitioning back to normal feeding if desired, though many fanciers continue recovery food through the evening of race day and don't return to normal food until next morning. If transitioning to normal feed during evening of race day, do so gradually. Mix recovery feed with regular racing mix. Maybe 75% recovery, 25% regular. Birds can eat this mixed feed or can eat normal feed at this point. Their digestive systems should have recovered enough to handle regular feed. Water should transition from heavy electrolyte recovery water to plain fresh water or lightly mineralized water by evening of race day. After 6 to 8 hours of drinking recovery water, birds' electrolyte balance should be largely restored. Continuing heavy electrolyte water beyond this point is unnecessary and might actually reduce water intake if birds find it too salty. Throughout the first 24 hours, maintain a relatively quiet, calm environment. No visitors, no unnecessary long movements, no excessive handling. Birds should rest, eat, drink, and begin recovering without disruption. This doesn't mean zero activity. Normal routine steps, feeding, water changes are fine, but minimize anything beyond extensive caretaking. First 24 hours is also when you should observe birds carefully for signs of recovery problems. Most birds show good recovery patterns, gradually increasing activity, normal eating and drinking, normal droppings, normal perching and movement. Birds showing these positive signs are recovering well and don't need intervention. Birds showing concerning patterns include continued lethargy beyond 8 to 12 hours, post-race, lack of appetite or drinking, sitting fluffed on perches, abnormal droppings, watery, very dark, containing blood, respiratory problems, inability to perch properly. These signs indicate the bird is not recovering normally and needs additional support or veterinary attention. For birds showing poor recovery, implement the supportive care protocol discussed in previous video about early disease signs. Enhanced electrolyte water, probiotic supplementation, extra warmth if bird seems cold, isolation from other birds if it's being bullied, close monitoring. If condition doesn't improve within 24 to 36 hours, or if it worsens, seek veterinary consultation. Now let's discuss the critical mistakes that cause recovery failures and how to avoid them. Mistake 1. Immediate handling and examination of arriving birds. This is probably the single most common and most harmful mistake. Fanciers catch birds the instant they arrive, driven by excitement or desire to assess condition. This handling creates massive stress for exhausted birds. Heart rate and respiration that were beginning to normalize spike again. Stress hormones that were starting to decline surge again. Body temperature regulation that was stabilizing is disrupted. The exhausted bird experiences the handling as threat or danger. Its limited remaining energy reserves are diverted to stress response rather than recovery process. For severely exhausted birds, This additional stress can be the trigger that pushes them from exhausted but recovering to crisis and dying. The solution is the discipline to leave birds alone in the first hour minimum, longer if possible. Observe from distance. Assess condition by watching behavior, drinking, eating, movement patterns. You can learn everything you need to know about condition through observation without touching the bird. Handle only when necessary for essential care, and even then wait until the bird has had at least 1 to 2 hours to begin stabilizing. Mistake 2. Providing plain water instead of electrolyte recovery water. Plain water doesn't address the electrolyte depletion that all racing birds experience. Drinking large volumes of plain water, when electrolytes are depleted, can actually worsen electrolyte balance by diluting remaining electrolytes further. This can create hyponatremia, dangerously low sodium levels, that impairs muscle and nerve function. Additionally, plain water doesn't provide the quick energy that exhausted birds desperately need. Recovery water with honey or glucose provides this energy, helping stabilize blood sugar and supporting immediate recovery processes. The solution is always having recovery water prepared and ready before birds arrive. Make it the only water available for the first 2 to 3 hours. Don't provide plain water during this critical period. The recovery formula is simple, inexpensive, and dramatically improves early recovery. Some fanciers use sugar water instead of the formula described, thinking sugar provides energy. Sugar water without electrolytes is inadequate. The sugar helps but doesn't address the electrolyte depletion. Always use the complete formula with salt, potassium, honey, and lemon. Mistake 3. Providing regular oil-rich feed immediately after racing. As discussed, oil-rich seeds digest slowly and create heavy digestive load. Birds returning from races have stressed digestive systems operating at reduced efficiency. Asking these systems to process heavy oil-rich feeds often results in crop stasis, where feed sits in the crop for many hours without digesting properly or digestive upset with abnormal dropping. The solution is recovery feed, light, easily digestible peas and wheat for the first several hours after racing. This feed provides nutrition without overwhelming stressed digestive systems. After birds have begun recovering, transition gradually to regular feed. Many top fanciers continue recovery feed through the evening of race day and don't return to regular feed until next morning, giving digestive systems maximum time to recover before facing heavier feeds. Mistake 4. Continuing normal loft activities and allowing visitors during recovery period. Some fanciers don't modify loft routine on race days. They continue normal cleaning, maintenance, socializing. Friends come to see race results. The loft is busy and noisy. This activity creates constant low-level stress that interferes with recovery. Birds recovering from races need quiet and calm. Every disturbance, every noise, every human presence triggers alertness and mild stress response. These repeated small stresses accumulate and slow recovery. In severe cases, they prevent recovery entirely. The solution is discipline to maintain silence and minimize activity for the first 24 hours after racing. No visitors, no non-essential loft work, no unnecessary presence in or near the loft. Let birds rest in peace. You can celebrate results and receive visitors the next day after birds have stabilized. On race day, prioritize birds' needs over social activities. Mistake 5. Not monitoring individual bird recovery and missing birds that are failing to recover. Some fanciers provide recovery water and feed, then assume all birds are fine without checking how each bird is actually doing. They discover problems only when birds are found dead or obviously critically ill days later. The solution is active observation during the first 24 hours. Check each bird individually from distance. Which birds are drinking and eating normally? Which birds are active and alert? Which birds seem lethargic or off? Make mental notes or written record. Any bird showing concerning patterns should be watched more closely and potentially given additional support. This monitoring doesn't mean constant handling or interference. It means regular visual observation every 2 to 3 hours during daylight to assess how each bird is progressing through recovery. Most birds will show good progression, the 1 or 2 that don't need your attention before they reach crisis. Now let's discuss variations in recovery protocol based on race distance and conditions. The basic protocol applies to all races, but some elements can be adjusted based on specific race circumstance. Short races under 100 kilometers, birds from very short races are usually not as severely stressed as birds from longer races. They still benefit from recovery water and feed, but the critical window is shorter. Birds from sprint races might fully recover within 2 to 4 hours rather than needing the full 24-hour careful management. Still provide recovery support, but recognize that birds will bounce back quickly. Long races over 400 kilometers, Birds from very long races are more severely stressed and need more intensive recovery support. Consider providing recovery water for longer period, 4 to 6 hours instead of 2 to 3. Monitor more carefully for signs of severe exhaustion or distress. Consider providing extra warmth if birds seem cold. Recovery might take 36 to 48 hours rather than 24. Don't race these birds the following week. They need extended rest. Races in extreme heat. Birds returning from hot weather races may be overheated and more severely dehydrated than normal. Provide recovery water at cool temperature, not room temperature. Ensure loft is well ventilated and comfortable. Some birds might benefit from being offered opportunity to bathe after they've rehydrated and eaten, which helps cool them, but don't force bathing. Let it be optional. Races in rain or cold. Birds returning from cold or wet conditions may be chilled. They need to warm up as part of recovery. Ensure loft is adequately warm, 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Some birds might benefit from being placed temporarily in warmer area or even under gentle heat lamp if they're severely chilled, but monitor carefully to prevent overheating. Races with strong headwinds or difficult conditions. Birds from races with severe headwinds or other challenging conditions will be more exhausted than birds from the same distance in easier conditions. Treat them as you would treat birds from longer distance. More intensive recovery support and monitoring. Longer recovery period before returning to training. Now let's discuss the days following race day, days 2 through 7, and the gradual return to normal routine. Day 2, Monday after Sunday race. Birds should be largely recovered by Monday morning. They should be eating and drinking normally. Active during loft flying, feathers tight and glossy, eyes bright, behavior normal. If birds show these positive signs, they can return to normal feeding routine. Provide regular seasonal feed mix. Provide normal water, plain or lightly mineralized. Allow birds to fly freely around loft for normal duration. Don't force flying, as birds that want to fly should be allowed. Most birds that recovered well will fly voluntarily. Birds that are still not fully recovered might be less active, which is fine. Let them continue resting. Handle birds briefly to assess conditions. If you haven't yet examined the situation, each bird should feel solid with good muscle tone, not thin or wasted. Feathers should feel smooth, eyes should be bright. Any bird that doesn't meet these standards needs continued close monitoring and possibly supportive care. Days 3 through 5, birds should be fully back to normal. If they're not, something is wrong. Either the race was more damaging than usual, the bird is sick, or recovery protocol wasn't adequate. Address problems individually based on symptoms observed. Days 6 through 7. If birds are fully recovered and showing excellent condition, they can race again the following weekend if you want. If recovery was slower than usual or birds still show any reduction in condition, give another week of rest before racing again. Don't rush birds back to racing before they're fully ready. One extra week of rest prevents long-term problems. The general principle is that birds from typical middle distance races, 200 to 400 kilometers, should fully recover within 3 to 5 days with proper recovery protocol. If recovery takes longer, investigate why and adjust either recovery protocol or racing schedule. Now let's discuss the championship perspective on recovery management. Top fanciers universally prioritize recovery as equal in importance to training and racing themselves. They understand that racing success depends as much on recovery between races as on performance during racing. Leo Heremans' practice of never touching birds in the first hour reflects his understanding that recovery is active, physiological process that must not be interrupted by unnecessary stress. His birds recovered exceptionally well and raced consistently through long seasons, partly because he managed recovery perfectly. Louis van der Velde's careful monitoring of each bird's recovery and his willingness to withdraw birds from races, if they weren't fully recovered, reflects the same priority of recovery over racing schedule. He would rather skip a race than race a bird that wasn't ready. This discipline prevented cumulative damage that ruins birds over the season. These championship approaches created birds that maintained condition through entire racing seasons, raced consistently at high levels, and recovered quickly between efforts. The recovery management was systematic, disciplined, and prioritized above short-term desires to examine birds and maintain rigid racing schedules. You can implement the same systematic approach. Prepare recovery water and feed in advance. Observe without interfering in the first minutes down. Provide proper recovery nutrition. Maintain silence and calm for 24 hours. Monitor individual bird recovery carefully. Address problems early. Allow adequate rest before racing again. This protocol, properly implemented, dramatically reduces post-race losses and improves season-long condition maintenance. Birds that recover well race well next time. Birds that don't recover properly either die, become chronically compromised, or never race well again. The protocol determines outcomes. The first 10 minutes after arrival are critical. Minutes 0 to 2. Observe without interference. Minutes 2 to 5 provide recovery water with electrolytes and energy. Minutes 5 to 10 provide recovery feed that's light and digestible. Hour 1 through 24 maintain silence and monitor recovery. Days 2 through 7. Gradual return to normal routine based on recovery status.
Buenos días.
Avoid the critical mistakes. Don't handle immediately. Don't provide plain water. Don't provide oil-rich feed. Don't allow loft disturbance. Don't fail to monitor individuals. These mistakes kill birds that could survive with proper recovery support. Your birds flew hundreds of kilometers to come home. Honor their effort by providing perfect recovery conditions. Give them the calm, nutrition, hydration, and rest they need to heal and restore. Watch them recover fully and race again next week instead of collapsing and dying unnecessarily. The recovery protocol saves lives. Use it every race without exception. Birds deserve the care that lets them recover from the extraordinary demands of racing. Provide that care systematically. Watch birds thrive through racing seasons because recovery was managed as carefully as training and racing themselves. 10 minutes, 24 hours, perfect protocol, full recovery, consistent performance. That's the path. Follow it to save birds. Build success through systematic excellence in every phase of management, including the critical recovery phase that determines whether birds survive and thrive or deteriorate and die. Recovery is not optional. It's essential. Manage it perfectly. Every time. Every race, every birds. That's how champions do it. That's how you should do it.